Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about Electrified Brain, the latest studio album from American crossover thrash crew Municipal Waste. People often assume that I hate thrash metal because I am so quick to criticize newer albums from older bands like, say, Exodus, Overkill, Anvil, to name a few, for being generic, for being cookie cutter, for being meat and potatoes, for being uninspired, and for not trying anything new. This assumption, with all due respect, is fucking foolish. I do not criticize these bands or these albums because I hate thrash metal. I do so because I love thrash metal. Thrash was my gateway into heavy and extreme music. I still hold near and dear to my heart classic records from all of the bands we've mentioned so far, plus Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, Testament, and so many more. Put very simply, I've seen the genre many times at its best, and as such I will not settle for seeing it at its most average. I don't want meat and potatoes. I don't want your microwaved leftovers. I want a 16-ounce Kansas ribeye with foie gras and mac and cheese, cooked by the finest chefs in the world, and I will not settle for less. Period. With all of this in mind, I imagine a lot of you are also already assuming that I probably hate this new Municipal Waste record because, let's just be honest here, Municipal Waste is a very one-dimensional generic thrash metal band. Even though they came out of that late 2000s thrash renaissance alongside some pretty unique and exciting bands like Evil, Toxic Holocaust, Vector, Revocation, and more, Municipal Waste are definitely a very typical kind of thrash metal crew, playing very typical thrash metal. There aren't a lot of twists and turns, there aren't a lot of surprises or hidden spices and flavors. Municipal Waste is not known for being a very progressive or technical or ambitious or controversial band. They are known for drinking, they are known for eating pizza, and they're known for really fucking loving 80s hardcore and thrash metal. And that is exactly what every record they've put out so far illustrates pretty transparently and inarguably. But the reason why Municipal Waste has gotten a pass from me is because even though they are so generic, they've been so consistently good at what they do that it's simply been very difficult for me to want to complain. And Electrified Brain is no exception. For some reason, this particular plate of meat and potatoes tastes wonderful. That microwave must be fucking incredible because these leftovers taste as fresh now in 2022 as they did back in 2007 when Municipal Waste dropped The Art of Partying. The songs are all super short, super dynamic and punchy and aggressive, cram-packed with razor-sharp riffs and howling anthemic gang vocals and gnarly, thrashy, hardcore breakdowns. There are a few brief moments across the album where Municipal Waste are seen flirting with a few different techniques. For instance, on The Bite, there are some overly nasally vocals that reek of a comically exaggerated Exodus, almost to the point of appearing satirical. Like, if you told me this was a parody of Exodus, I might have kind of believed you. More notably, the final moments of Putting on Errors shows Municipal Waste dipping their toes into like blackened death metal or grindcore with like some really pummeling blast beats and roaring shouted vocals and some violent guitar work. But aside from these little nuggets, these little momentary distractions, Electrified Brain is a Municipal Waste record through and through. And I'm fine with it because, once again, it's good. Municipal Waste are really good at what they do. They're great performers. They're great songwriters. The title track, Electrified Brain, is loaded with some gnarly fucking shredding and some awesome speed metal rhythm guitar and some killer percussion. Following tracks Demoralizer and Last Crawl keep the momentum going with some very enthusiastic, jovial, old-school crossover thrash vibes and mayhem, like very much in the vein of classic Exodus with little bits and pieces and spices from Nuclear Assault, Suicidal Tendencies. High Speed Steel lives up to its name by throwing some really sharp, really fast-paced riffing at you, a lot of twin guitar madness, a lot of gang vocals. Then there's Crank the Heat, which is so pummeling and filled with so many awesome fucking riffs and grooves that It genuinely does feel as if the heat has been turned up in my apartment as I'm sitting here listening to the track. My favorite cut on the record might be Paranormal Janitor, though. It's a little funkier, a little weirder, kind of like The Bite and Putting on Errors. Here, it's got some chanted vocals and some spookier guitar licks that wouldn't be out of place on like a Ghost song. But despite that, it's an intensely focused and vicious kind of thrash, heavy metal rager, and it closes this album out in surprisingly epic fashion. Just like The Bite and Putting on Errors, it's different, but not too different, you know? It's just different enough. Though a close second might be Thermonuclear Protection, a sloppy, raucous punk metal jam that eventually transitions into an old-school piece of Metallica-style heavy metal, like think Kill 'Em All, but with like some crossover thrash vocals kind of layered on top. Honestly, the only thing I didn't really care for was the chorus on 10 Cent Beer Night. It's by no means terrible, but it does feel a little childish. The melody isn't that great, in my opinion. I still think the song overall is pretty solid. Like, it's got some really punchy, crunchy fucking riffs. Like, honestly, I think this is gonna end up being a favorite live. Everything still sounds pretty good. I wouldn't mind hearing more bass in the forefront of the sound, but it's clean, it's lean, it's mean, it's everything you kind of want a good thrash metal record to sound like. Tony Foresta's vocals, his lyrics aren't as clear or as audible as they were on previous records. He sounds kind of tired and kind of crazed, almost like he's really pushing himself on this record, but I think he still sounds really fucking good. Like, he's got a punky energy and charisma to him that remains infectious, even if, you know, his actual ability has dwindled a little bit. If you truly fucking despised thrash metal, there's a good chance you would not enjoy this record at all. It is fair to say that Electrified Brain is a very straightforward record. It is a very predictable and formulaic record. I am not going to attempt to argue otherwise myself. In fact, I agree. One of my original notes after I listened to this album for the first time was, this thing is about as predictable as a fucking Scooby-Doo cartoon. It's not perfect, it's not clever, and it does lose a lot of its luster on repeat listens. But that first listen is so fucking good. So I'm gonna give this album a very enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. Honestly, at this point, I feel comfortable saying that Municipal Waste are this genre's equivalent to, like, Cannibal Corpse. They're just so fucking consistent. They still have so much energy and so much confidence and so much talent. Yes, they're a one-trick pony, but they're still doing that one trick so fucking well, which is not something I can say, once again, for Exodus, Overkill, Anvil. Like, Exodus in particular, everything I wanted from Persona Non Grata is what I got from Electrified Brain. Check it out, crack open a beer, have some fucking fun. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.